Of course I turn on the camera right when Gordo's taking a fat piss in the background. I look like, what's his name, that fuck-ass Fae from Lord of the Rings with the widow's peak and the receding hairline. Good morning. 1989 cardigan coming out to play because it's kind of chilly outside. There's a little nip to the air. I typically do not coincide my reading tastes with Halloween spooky season. Hi. You had a good pee, I heard it. I'm not a huge Halloween celebrator, so I also don't really curate my TBR to have Halloween-y spooky books. This year I think might be the exception. I'm actually already like 3/4 of the way through a book and haven't recorded any of it up until now, so hey new vlog. I'm currently buddy reading Tender is the Flesh by Agustina Basterica. This is an Argentinian author translated from Spanish. It's pretty viral on TikTok, I think. It comes up a lot in the horror genre or just like lists of disturbing books. So I've always been curious about this in like that morbid car accident kind of way of wanting to know why everyone's freaking out about it. So I'm pretty far into this already in like a day. It only took me that long to read 146 pages. The book's only like 200 pages long. This is set in, I want to say like a sci-fi dystopian-ish world. It's all about how animals have had a virus sweep through the population, so you can no longer use any animal products because otherwise humans will catch the virus. And then there was a period called the transition where people were so desperate for animal products that it became normalized that humans should be for consumption and used for leather and milk and hunting. It is fucked. I will say I was expecting this book to absolutely gross me out, like it would be gory. I mean, maybe we got time left, maybe we'll get some gore. And it's very unsettling and disturbing, but it's not like, I don't know, I thought I would have a worse reaction to it, so I actually think it's pretty tolerable. There are certain parts of it that are just absolutely, I keep calling it fucked. Like this book can be gnarly in like a Handmaid's Tale kind of way. It's just so dehumanizing, and the whole point of the book is that you cannot think of these humans that were raised to be meat as humans, because then you're gonna go insane. For me, it's a little bit reminiscent of the slave trade and like how you have to dehumanize someone who is no different than you, so it's really difficult to read sometimes. At first, you want to root for the main character because he kind of has inklings. He's like the second-hand man of the CEO of one of these meat pack processing companies, and you want to root for him so bad because he's like, this is terrible, I can't think about this too much. Like, he's one of the people who actually can't stand it, but he has to do it for money. Oh my god, there's so many nuances to this. I'm so happy I'm buddy reading it because there's so much I want to talk about with all the little details and the way that she constructs things to make a point about like capitalism. I also think culturally this is a very interesting read because of the prevalence of like the steak and meat industries in South America, so I'm sure there's even some like cultural nuances that I'm not picking up on because beef and other meats are such a staple. So yeah, this one is a bit nauseating and I was expecting that and honestly flying through it because of that, but it is crazy. The good news is I have to run to a doctor's appointment, so I don't have to work for the next hour or so. I'm gonna bring this with me. I imagine I'm gonna be doing some sitting around the doctor's office. Speaking of horror and fear and terror in the month of October, I hate going to the doctor. It's funny because when I was little, I used to hate going to the doctor because I didn't want to get a shot, and now I hate going to the doctor because it reminds me of how terribly I treat myself. Oh my god, are we transitioning from books to my personal life? I have been cutting out talking about my personal life and telling myself to suck it up and like don't complain on camera, but I think I need to take that back. I don't want to keep putting off doctor's appointments because I don't obviously want to neglect my health, but my biggest fear is I walk in there today and she's gonna be like, do you want to get an Ozempic? No. I've been putting off getting diagnosed with PCOS because I do not feel like trying to get scheduled. I don't understand the difference between a psychologist, psychiatrist, counselor, whatever, so I don't know how to get diagnosed with whatever is going on inside my head. Basically, I'll be shocked if I don't start crying inside her office because I feel like I'm not doing well. So I cannot wait to be one person in a 15-minute time block of her day, and she does not care if I live or die. Alrighty, I'll see you at the doctor's office as I keep reading. She asked me if I was feeling down lately, so they screened me for depression.
They gon' hate me regardless.
So, I trauma dumped too close to the sun. I got diagnosed with moderate depression, and now I'm on Zoloft. By the way, She did not bring up my weight at all. This happens every year. I think she's gonna tell me that I'm fat and I'm gonna die soon. And she doesn't. But instead, one of the screening questions was, do you feel sad? And I was like, duh, doesn't everyone? And then they walked me through some questions, and then the nurse left and the doctor came in and she was like, hey, our nurse couldn't finish the screening questions because you started crying. Well, yeah. I didn't think I was depressed. I think everyone feels sad and miserable all the time. That's not normal to come home and binge eat every day. But I was not expecting that. I was gonna tell her I have so many things I still need to do health-wise to get my life in order. And one of them is, I don't know the fucking difference between a psychologist and a psychiatrist, and I don't know who I need to see to diagnose me with stuff. And she was like, well, answer these questions and I'll tell you. Yeah, I'm about to be on antidepressants. So, Zoloft gang, SSRI gang, stand up, let me see them hands. I'm gonna be pissed if the antidepressants work and I can fix my life. Because why the fuck wasn't I on them starting at age 15? I'm just kind of wowed. I was like, hee hee, spooky, ooky, reading vlog. Just kidding. Get diagnosed with depression with me. Hey guys, get ready with me to go get diagnosed with depression. I got to page 154 of Tenders the Flesh. And it grossed me out in the doctor's office. When I was at home reading it in bed, I was like, who cares? But as soon as I was like in a clinical setting, reading about like eating marinated fingers, I was like, ugh. I want to get a little treat before I go back to work. I'm working from home the rest of the day, which is a treat because we have to be in the office to have productivity. But as a little treat, you guys can take one day from home a week. So yeah, I am gonna cry about it. I am on my period. I've been on my period for 2 weeks and I don't understand my period problems. I should have told her that. God damn it. Anyway, I guess that's gonna wait till next year that I'm having period problems too. But I guarantee that's related to my weight, so therefore it doesn't matter. Why am I trauma dumping to the internet? Goodbye. So I've been crying all day about it. I have to work late because I started work 2 hours late, and all I want to do right now is go lay down. But there's things that I had to do by today and tomorrow that I have not touched yet. And I hate talking about work on here because this is so public and like anyone could be watching this and being like, oh, you don't like your job? You don't think you're good at your job? My job is one of those where we are so understaffed for the magnitude of work that we have, but we're expected to be like, isn't it exciting? How much work? How many opportunities we have? I'm like, no, Janet, this job has put me on antidepressants. I don't want to blame my sadness on this job, but I feel like I'm in the before. Like at some point I'm gonna look back and be like, oh my god, I used to work in marketing. All I want to do is lay in bed right now and think about nothing. But I still have to get things done. I'm just like, I don't want to be a person with responsibilities. I have not grocery shopped because I'm going on a trip this weekend. And thank God I'm going on a trip this weekend. I'm going to see my best friend. I'm so excited. And I just need that support right now. So this is going to be like my New York vlog where I spend the whole first half of the video crying and anxious and upset, and then the second half I'm fine. But today I had a lot of meetings where thankfully I could just sit and listen. So I did a lot more of my diamond painting. It's like you put the rhinestones on there and it's just a mindless task. And I was telling myself for months that I need to get back into this and like pick up a craft or a hobby, and I have a whole craft drawer and a whole crochet shelf in my bedroom that I haven't touched. I got home and I called my mom and I cried to her, and I feel so bad because I don't want my mom to think that I blame her for any of this, but I was just getting really upset because I feel like I felt this way to some degree for a lot of my life, and I'm just so frustrated that for so long I just thought I was lazy and unmotivated, and that was just a personality trait. I'm gonna wait to start the antidepressants until I come home from my travel because I don't want to be like midair on a plane freaking myself out about side effects, but I'm scared that I'm gonna feel more normal after them, which I know is the hope, but then I'm gonna get really mad that I spent so long suffering, and I feel like I'll have wasted so much time because I already feel like that. I just wanted to update because I feel like today is like a pivotal day in my life, and I'm just like, I cannot stop crying. I'm just gonna keep rambling while I work. Actually, maybe not because my camera's flashing low battery, but one of the things the doctor asks me is if I feel like loneliness is a motivator for my depression. And my immediate reaction was like, no, not really. But I think to some degree, growing up is having to reconcile that my life is not going to be like in a book. And that includes having someone who's obsessed with you. Everyone I know, including my mom, like has a life and problems of their own. So no one's just waiting around the clock to hear about my issues and comfort me. For so long, I was like, well, duh, everyone should be worried about me and want to talk to me and want to ask me how I'm doing. Even my own mom now is like, she's her whole person. Her world doesn't revolve around you. Okay, we're back after both a dead camera and my bath. I didn't realize it's already 11 p.m. so I'm getting ready for bed, but I did just finish Tender as the Flesh, which I keep almost calling Tender as the Night, which is not the same thing. That's like an F. Scott Fitzgerald book. So I'll do a quick review while I don't think I can brush my teeth and do a review at the same time. So honestly, I don't even know what I'm doing in front of this mirror right now. Maybe I'll put on deodorant first. I haven't read literary fiction in several hot minutes. A lot of times it makes me feel stupid. And the grab of this book definitely is not that it's anti-capitalist or it's making stabs at the meat industry. It's more so like everyone knows it's kind of gross, so everyone just wants to know what's gross about it. I fell victim to that. I'm just kind of curious on why people were freaking out about it. But I will say, I do think that the parts that are meant to make you think did their job. I especially liked that the whole theme that once you give something a name, you give it power and you give it agency, I think was a very strong motif that really made me think. And one of the things I had said at the beginning of this video was, I'm so curious if this is going to be a likable main character, because at first you're like, oh my god, the protagonist of this book is horrified by what's going on. He's gonna save the world. That's like the YA fantasy reader and me being like, he's gonna fix it. But obviously being literary fiction, I'm sure it's not that optimistic. But the way that the script flips 360, or I guess 180, I could go on and on with a spoilery discussion of why the ending of it was just so fucked. I like the ending. It was infuriating. I keep going back to, I'm so happy a woman wrote this book, because I think if a man wrote this book, I would be so even more disgusted by it. The only women in it are psychopaths or traumatized. The other like main theme of this book that I just think is so timely for me is just the commodification of things that should not be commodified. Going to the ends of the earth to make money and how that becomes institutionalized. Also, there was so much about how like the youngest generation that's now growing up in a world where it's normalized is so insensitive to what's happening. And I think it was so interesting because this book was written in like 2017, but already we're kind of seeing the same thing come about with Gen Alpha, where they don't really get 9/11 because they weren't alive for it. So the memes emerge. Even Gen Z to some degree has like clowned about 9/11. There were so many scenes in this about the young kids just being so insensitive about basically murdering other people. So you just get the sense that like, oh, no one's gonna stop this. This is just gonna get worse and worse. The one thing I will say that Bonnie and I were talking about, I wish that this book had gone a little bit deeper into world building, because where it did world build, it was very info dumpy. Like chapters 1 through 3, the protagonist just basically tells you point blank like, so here's what happened. And then there's some side conversations that he has with people where someone will be like, do you not remember when this happened? And the guy will be like, of course I remember when this happened in this year. So it's like kind of still continuing to info dump. And this is also probably the nature of it being a 200-page book. It's still hard to grasp how elite of an experience is it to eat human meat. Is that just the upper class is doing that? Therefore, is this like a very small section of society that we're being shown, or is this like fully normalized? Also, is this a regional thing, or is this the way that the entire world is operating? I wish we got just like a bit of a bigger glimpse into the system. Overall, my takeaway from this book is men ain't shit. So, das ist fertig. I have a TBR of sorts. I think I mentioned this earlier, but now I can actually sit down and go through them. But I do have 4 other things that I pulled out from my shelves, like maybe. The first one, Welcome Back, Marked by PC Cast. This is just on my list of like old-time YA books that I really want to read. It's a vampire, like very teenagery, high school drama, 10-book series, I think, but I just want to read book 1 and see if it'll be tea. But I hope the vibe of this book is just like I'm standing at my locker putting on lip gloss and oh my god, Josh walks by and he's so cute. Oh my god, he's a vampire? That's crazy. That's only, what, 300 pages? So if I need something corny. I'm leaning towards starting this. I have And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie, which is like one of the biggest mysteries of all time. It is very dialogue heavy, so I think I could sail through this, and it's also only like 200 pages, so I'm kind of leaning toward this one. I also have The Silent Patient, which Shelby just read and thought it was okay. This is a longer read. It's not my typical genre. Also on that same note is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. Cute edition I have. It's like one of the earliest like vibey fall time mystery-ish reads, but it's a classic and it's also a very nice edition. One of my considerations in choosing my next book is I'm going to be traveling this weekend, which I've mentioned, so I want to make sure it's something that travels well, so I think we're on one of these two. I'll start And Then There Were None, and if I hate it, we'll go to the vampire book. But hopefully today has not given you whiplash, because I keep going back and forth between I'm miserable, I hate my life, I have depression, and oh my god, I just read this book that also gave me depression. I feel better right now that it's the healing and restorative powers of the bathtub, I'm assuming. Also, I was laughing because my bath bomb was a pumpkin spice one and I was taking a bath in the dark, so I didn't realize it until I went to take a picture of the bath water and it looked like I took a full turd in the tub. It was like orangey rusty brown, so I looked like I shitted the hot tub. I had myself a giggle. I cannot believe it's 11:30. I feel like I guess I worked late today, so I did have less time, but I need to go to bed, get a good start on tomorrow. But I'm just assuming that this week is gonna be shit until I step off the plane on Friday night. But I'm gonna start And Then There Were None, and maybe I'll update before bed. I'm sweating like a mother clucker right now. I've been turbo cleaning my apartment in preparation for leaving tomorrow for the weekend. Before I go, I got 2 things in the mail and I was not expecting either of these, but then I remembered why I'm getting both of them, so I wanted to unbox them on camera. The first one, this is kind of silly and no one's gonna care about this except me. Does anyone know the previous booktuber, now book talker, Max from Well Done Books? I always have loved his content. I've watched him for like years at this point now. I follow him on Instagram, and now for some reason I follow his wife on Instagram, and she did this thing where she said, if you make a donation for my classroom to go and see whatever, like the robot movie that came out, she said, I'll have my kids make you cards. So I don't know what grade they're in. I see that she put a card. Thanks so much for donating. Because of you, we got to see the wild robot. I've included some thank you cards for my students. Am I gonna cry? I just saw my name. I had the worst day at work today. Literally for the first half of the day I was sitting at my desk feeling like I had a boulder on top of me and I couldn't do anything, and I was trying not to cry at my desk all day. Thank God I kind of snapped out of it after lunch, but this is just gonna change my day. Oh my god. This has to be a reference to the movie, but one of them is Zombie Planet, Thank You Planet, and this one says Riz Planet. It's Gen Alpha, baby. I really appreciate the donation. I'm so happy. Oh my god. Trying to do block letters, then running out of room. So real. My name is so long. Oh my god, there's so many. There's 2 more. Dear Whitney, thank you for donating all that money to 4th grade. Me and my class, thank you so much for helping us. They're 4th graders. And then I have one more card. This one went crazy on the inside. I can already tell. That made my day. That is the best mail I've ever gotten. Do a kind thing every now and then. It'll pay itself back with thank you cards. That is so sweet. I'm putting these on my fridge. So pay it forward. Karma is good. Anyway, I was gonna also do an unboxing, but Gordo has decided is bed. We have the return of book mail, specifically publisher book mail. This is from Macmillan. I very rarely get emails nowadays to review things, and honestly, today is also a milestone for my channel because I no longer have 55,000 subscribers. I dropped below that. For me, it's kind of a hallmark of, I feel like I'm a has-been, and I've been pretty comfortable with that because I'm not trying to compete with the YouTube algorithm and like be someone who gets a bunch of free books from publishers. This is just my side hobby. I'm comfortable with that. whatever. But I was very flattered that I'm still on a couple of mailing lists for upcoming books, and a lot of them are things that I usually wouldn't grab for. But I got an email about this book, and I hadn't heard a whole ton about the title itself, but I've really wanted to read books by this author. This book is so beautiful. All right, so I have Starling House by Alex E. Harrow. Could you feel like the giddiness in my voice? I haven't gotten publisher mail in like 5 years. I feel so special. Oh my god. I will never forget the first time that I was recommended Alex E. Harrow's books was for Once and Future Witches, and it was this woman who I saw for one day and never saw again. We just saw each other at a book signing and started talking about books that we liked, and she was like, you have to read Alex E. Harrow Once and Future Witches. It was so good. And I've always remembered that and remembered her. Never got around to it, but when they sent me the offer to get this book, I was like, I remember my girl telling me that Alex E. Harrow is such a talented writer. I really want to read some of her work, so I accepted. So as you can see, this just recently became a Reese's Book Club pick. This is set in a small town in Kentucky. It's about a girl and her younger brother. The town is really only known for having this really famous author that once lived there and has a mansion in that town. Did you catch a bird? Good boy! All I do is bring their toys to me and scream about it. It's a good hunter. Anyway, this author built this mansion in this town, and it's now like abandoned and haunted because the author was from like 100 years ago, but the main character is obsessed with her book, and I don't know what brings her to the house, but she ends up exploring it, and her whole purpose in life is to get her brother out of this town, so an opportunity for that arises through this house. I don't know really what to expect here, but it definitely fits in with the spooky vibe of this time of year. Haunted houses and cursed town. But this is perfect timing. I might actually read this for my Halloween TBR once I get home from Bonnie's. So Giselle and Tor Books, massive thank you for sending me a book. It's been so long. I feel like I'm like getting back into being a reviewer. But that being said, I really emphasize that I might read this soon for the spooky season, because last night I got 25 pages into and then there were none. More like, and then when will it be done? Because I'm not liking it. I'm having to get used to the old-timey writing style. This was published in the 1940s. I also know the history of this book and that it originally had a very racist title. There's already been a couple of weird comments about, like, there was an anti-Semitic person who was talking about a Jewish person. I do think the structure of it is cool, where each chapter there's 10 different parts, so you follow each person just for a little glimpse. And I'm gonna try and like mysteries. I've never traditionally been a person who picks these up. I know this is probably an interesting entrance to the genre, similar to how when I said I want to start watching horror movies, that I watched Hereditary, everyone was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? It might be one of those situations. I guarantee this is gonna be difficult to read on a flight because it's just so complicated and the writing style is not that easy to pick up on. I think I'm getting more toward the sections that are just dialogue based, but I think the issue I'm going to have is that the characters are all just going to blend together in my head. So when it's like, and this character did this, and this person was dead, and then this person, I don't think I'm going to care enough about the characters to be invested in the mystery, is what I'm afraid of right now. But again, I'm 20 pages in, so who knows? This could be my new favorite book of all time. That being said, I have talked a lot recently about my flight anxiety. I'm feeling okay about this trip because both of my flights are still somewhat open and have seats open next to me, so I'm hoping that that stays true. I've also booked this entirely with miles, so I'm not paying anything for both my flight and my rental car, so I'm like, I need to do that more often, but I've been hoarding my miles for like 2 years now. Next time you see me, I'm gonna be snug as a bug as a snug as a rug in a bug. Snug as a bug in a rug in bed. There it was. Hey girls! I'm using my camera to do my makeup, but I figured might as well just press the record button. Recognize the background? Real fans recognize the background. Realer fans recognize the person who created the background. I got in last night. I don't think I recorded anything other than me driving here, which was boring as hell because it was dark and I couldn't see anything. And I was like, am I in Texas still? Maybe. But I usually come to Wisconsin for like a day. This is the first time where I've fallen asleep here and not had to wake up at 3 a.m. for a flight. So I'm actually here for 2 nights. We have a whole day planned. Just in and around, can I say where you live? A city in Wisconsin that you definitely won't be able to recognize based on the places that we go. So this morning we're going to Frank's Diner, and that's like a diner from Divers, Drive-Ins, and drives. Dragons, Dungeons, and Dick's. Triple D. But then there's also like a farmer's market by the lake that I want to go to just to get like a Rice Krispie treat or whatever the hell someone sells there that's not vegetables. And then we're just gonna go to some stores, ride the trolley, go to a museum, and then come back and watch Mamma Mia, which I'm so excited about. Uh-oh, she's getting up. Okay, this is boring. I'll come back later.
What kind of cheese are you want?
I got a garbage plate.
A garbage plate with garbage.
It is so much food.
Yeah, this kid will take like grab another kid.
I kept for
Now they're killing it. I hate to romanticize this walk in particular because that statue up ahead is in fact Christopher Columbus, but I'm just enjoying the fall air. I literally started singing the autumn chill that wakes me up. I want to go down to the water because I don't live next to a great lake and I love it here. So we're just gonna go exploring.
Hi, vlog.
Really, we're just eating and walking around is the itinerary for today. Tomorrow, zero agenda. We found a lighthouse. And I'm chilly, so I have my hat on. But I feel like, you know when you wear a hat and you're like, everyone here is gonna know I'm not a hat person? That's how I feel wearing a winter hat, because I feel ridiculous wearing a...
It looks cute though.
Does it?
Yeah.
Even with the palm?
Especially with the
A
palm.
little furry ball. Chicago! That's what I think of every time I think of Lake Michigan, is there's a lake that looks like Michigan. I think I'm really fitting in. I think it's empty. Hello. Hi! No, you're in it. You're cute. This is the best part of my day, but the worst part of Bonnie's. We at the beach. Oh. Should I take my shoes off? I just love being by here. It's so cold, but it's so nice. And there's the lighthouse. And there's Bonnie's butt. Bonnie is mortified because I pulled over on the side of the road, but we drove to Illinois just so I can get a picture with the sign, and she's not happy with me. It's day 3, in true Milwaukee fashion. I'm watching a Packers game, or the commercials for a Packers game. However, one of my goals was to try beer, because I'm 5 and I've never been interested in trying beer because it's yucky and expensive. I just went to the store and looked for anything that was like local. This was $2. I just want to sip it and go ew, and then pour it down the drain. So bone up the teeth.
Grant Gill will become. That's why he's preparing for it now. With Honey to help make sure his health.
I have bad nose. I don't hate beer.
That's crazy.
I prefer that over a lot of things I've tried. This might sound crazy, but this tastes like champagne.
I mean, I've never tried that brand, but...
Do you want to try this? I thought I would hate it and I don't.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
It just tastes like champagne to me.
No, champagne is so much better.
Alrighty, just like that, we're back in our humble abode. I did bring my vlog camera on this trip, but never once pulled it out. I just didn't want to have to deal with the whole kit and caboodle. Because unlike Taylor Swift, I can't do it with a broken heart. I can barely do it with the heart in the best of condition. Anywho, this vlog has been a lot. I just wanted to give some final updates. Number 1, Taylor played That's How You Get Clean as the surprise songs mashup for tonight. I'm sick to the stomach about it. Anyway. Silent review. I didn't get any further into it. I tried to read at the airport, but then I found out I think I'm gonna have to read this like in one sitting because to understand each of the characters is going to be such a commitment. Like, I almost need a sheet of paper to be like, this is this person, this is this person. And also, this book will be like, it'll mention someone by their first and last name, and then the next time it talks about them, it'll be a nickname. It's so hard to follow. So I'm gonna get into this. It's just gonna need some brain power. I also have, real quick before we log off, as a treat to anyone who made it to the end here, I have a little book haul. I'll speed through them because I'm sure this video is 45 minutes long. This is a very, very, very well-known book, Z by Teresa Ann Fowler. I love F. Scott Fitzgerald, and I think I need this book to humble me because I've heard he's a misogynist and I've heard he's probably terrible, so I don't know if I should read this and then his other books, or his other books and then this. But this is like kind of a nonfiction story about what their relationship was like and his wife Zelda, who he stole a lot of ideas from, question mark. But it's written in novel format, so it's about real people, but it's fictionalized or prose-ified. I don't know how to describe it. I'll go with the other fiction book that I got, Cloud Cuckoo Land by Anthony Doerr. I did read All the Light We Cannot See when it first came out, and I remember really liking it, but I didn't hold on to it. It's not one of my favorite books ever, probably because I listened to it on audio, but the woman that I volunteer at the library with, I pointed this out to her, and she was like, you would like this. Which I have no idea why, because based on what I've told her I read before, like Red Queen, Fourth Wing, I don't know why she gets that vibe from me. This one is the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. It was like $1 for this massive, nice, gorgeous copy. And this one seems very time travel-y. And she said there's like a sci-fi element because part of it is set in Constantinople, part of it is set in Idaho. I didn't read this whole synopsis all the way through, but I don't know, she intrigued me and it was very cheap. And then I got 2 nonfiction books. One I've been looking for years, and whoever put a smiley face on this toe deserves jail time. This was on a list of the most popular or like the best nonfiction books you should get into if you're not into nonfiction. It's called Stiff by Mary Roach. It's about human cadavers, and when you donate your body to science, like what do you do with it? What happens after you die? Obviously death is an interesting concept and we're all just morbidly curious, so I expect I'll be pretty disgusted by this, but I'm also like, want to watch the train wreck and see what the hell is up with that. So anyone have tips on how to get Sharpie off a toe on a book cover, let me know. And finally, I grabbed this book 100% because I want to buddy read it with Bonnie. We always read nonfiction, and this sounds hella fascinating. Ignore the cover. This is called Stolen Harvest, The Hijacking of the Global Food Supply. I immediately trusted it because it's written by a woman of color, and it's all about how the modernization of like large-scale food production is decimating the environment, and I know we all know this. I just love the tagline that corporate agriculture has an effect on small farmers, the environment, and the quality of food that we're eating. So this is going to be a very frustrating read because I'm sure it's going to be a lot of things that I can do nothing about other than continue to vote the way that I vote and be educated on it, but this just fascinated me. I don't know what year this is from. Hopefully recently. Oh, 2000. Well, I'm sure nothing has changed, so cool. That being said, that is my book haul. That is my vlog. That is my weekend. It's been a roller coaster. I'm feeling better now. I think you can tell based on my chattiness. I had some human interaction this weekend, which helped. I got out of my brain. The flights were okay. I somehow lucked out and got first class the way there. It was a full flight on the way home. My shoulder was hurting because I sit like this on planes, so I'm not in anyone's way. It was fine, whatever. I have a business trip this week too, so that's gonna be fun to repeat that all over again. I'm gonna start my antidepressant after I get home from this work trip. So far, we're still raw dogging life. Cool. Let me know what you've been reading recently. Let me know if you liked this video. Do you like me? I'm sure the majority of the comments on this video are going to be about mental health. All advice and thoughts and reactions welcome. That being said, I just missed my trash can. I'm gonna go. This is a 10-minute clip for a 2-hour long vlog. Bye.